Welcome to the H2H Human Connection Done Right Summit, bringing together forward-thinking leaders who understand that true innovation happens when people, process, and technology work in harmony. Lean into this refreshing, energizing experience designed to inspire you with a new approach to a timeless principle. Our speakers will offer fresh insights that will challenge perspectives and spark new ideas.
So hi, everyone. My name is Petros. I do HR for a living. I've been doing HR for over 20 years, and I know our people are important to us, which is why my talk today is really focused on that subject and that subject alone. I'm going to explore some theories as to why and how people connect and choose to associate. I'm going to talk about what needs drive people to connect with each other, and finally, the structure you need to build to get the most out of those relationships so that both your people and the organization can thrive. So as an HR professional, I know HR is the sexiest part of running a business. All of you are here excited to hear about it because this is the one part that you all really look forward to doing every day. But you know what? You should be, because after all, what would your business be without you, without, the entrepreneur, without the owner, without its managers? Who will lead the company? Likewise, no business can grow without employees to carry out the work. From service to research and development, advertising, operations, and so on, your people are what drives your business upwards. It is also your people who can drive your business to the ground. So back in the day when I had a business, believe it or not, actually, before I get into that, let me talk about something else. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So a while back, I was asked at a presentation I was doing years ago, why do businesses fail? And it wasn't a question, an odd question to ask an HR professional, but I took it anyways. I ran with it because I thought to myself, I know the answer because I've been in management most of my life and have an MBA. So I figured that I had the skill set to answer this. And what I said then, I still believe today, which is most fail because they stop being relevant. Too often we pursue efficiency and don't pay enough attention to being effective. For illustration purposes, let's pretend you own a typewriter company. You have created an amazing supply chain, lowered your cost to incredible levels, and perfected production and methods to the point where nobody makes a typewriter as good as yours and as inexpensive as you do. You are efficient to the max, but it doesn't matter. You go out of business because nobody buys typewriters, right? So how about dial-up internet? How about VHS cassette players? If someone came to you asking you to invest in a wooden horse carriage wheel manufacturing company, would you? Likewise, companies sometimes look at their staff as a cost and they work to try to maximize their productivity. Their output is all that matters. Vacations are frowned upon. People feel guilty for taking time off. Employees work late. You are trying to squeeze all that you can out of the staff you have. But just like it is for your customers, if we aren't being effective, which is another word for being relevant, we aren't successfully engaging with our employees. If our employees aren't engaged, they don't care. I once myself owned a coffee house, and one of the questions I would ask candidates was this: do you drink coffee? If they answered no, I wouldn't hire them. How can I expect an employee to do a good job preparing and selling a product they don't enjoy themselves? If a customer asks them for their input on a single origin Ethiopian roast, how are they going to be trusted if they have never tried it, less even liked it in general? When I had that business, everyone working for me liked coffee. Additionally, we encourage our employees to enjoy their work. We supported them. We actively educated them on our offerings. We took interest in their lives. In return, they were dependable. They cared about the success of the business. They were loyal. There's a lesson in this. If our employees don't feel that the company cares about their success and well-being, and or if employees don't feel that they are connected to the mission and vision of the organization, they won't feel any connection to the company either. When that connection isn't there, productivity suffers, turnover becomes an issue, complacency becomes the norm, the environment turns toxic, lawsuits pile up, leadership is all over the place, becomes overbearing or just missing altogether. The company reputation in the marketplace goes to the crapper, and eventually the business folds. We've all seen this or experienced it personally. If it's a bad location, they weren't relevant. If their products were too expensive, they weren't relevant. Service was subpar, relevant. Like, you could see the pattern here, right? It's all about being effective and relevant. Just as we need to be relevant to our market, we need to be relevant to our employees. Having a great relationship with your employees builds up an organization's resiliency and ability to advance and to grow. So hence why we need a paradigm shift, and not only how we see our employees, but how we engage with them. In fact, it's not just our employees, but everyone connected to the company. That is why I say your people are your greatest asset. So I'm not just referring to your employees, I'm also referring to your business partners and those who you work for. We're all in this together. Traditionally, organizations see their people as a means to an end, the end being the product or service that the company provides. However, your service or product isn't seen as an end to your customers. They see your product or service as a means. For example, if you provide a payroll service, your customers don't look at it as an end. It's a means to provide payment to their employees for the work they do. Since your customers see what you do as a means, why would you insist on seeing it as an end? To that regard, in that case, what is the end? It's your people. You work hard to provide for yourself and your family, to create wealth, to create legacy, to become a contributing member of your community. Your employees want exactly the same thing. The main difference between them and you are their tolerance for risk. That's it. You're the end, your people are the end, the product and service as the means. So when we hire people or partner with people, we do so to satisfy either immediate or near future needs. Most employees pursue jobs and accept offers for the same reasons. But while the employer-employee relationship is legally defined as a transactional relationship, and employee engagement, loyalty, effectiveness, as you are probably catching on, as well as company revenue growth and profitability, are driven by intrinsic relationship needs. An intrinsic relationship needs refers to a fundamental psychological need within the relationship that is inherently valuable and fulfilling in itself, meaning you desire the connection and closeness with another person for its own sake, not for external benefits like social status or material gain. It's of the deep sense of belonging, love, respect, and mutual understanding you experience with the relationship. We ache for this. When I was a kid, I was very alone. So when I was growing up, I had a severe speech impediment, which made me both a target for bullying and a pariah for everyone else. Nobody wants to be associated with the kid that the bullies pick on, because they don't want to be picked on either. If anyone was nice to me and engaged with me, it was a lifeline. I grabbed onto it and held on for as long as I could. I look back and appreciate as a result just how important it is to be valued and wanted. There is no one thing more important than to be wanted and accepted. Essentially, the transactional nature of the employment relationship is only a part of why employees and employers engage with one another. It is not the driver determinant of a successful relationship. We typically hire the person we feel we most likely want to have on our team, not because of the skill alone, but because we genuinely like them. But the growth and success of that relationship is fully dependent on how we communicate, and our communication framework drives our engagement. The how isn't simply about tonality, pitch, or the volume of our voices, but incorporating the intrinsic relationship drivers, our communication, and the overall organizational framework. No employee starts a job with the goal of becoming the most mediocre employee you've ever hired. Mediocrity is the result of bad management. Either we hired the wrong person for the job, or we aren't providing them with the means and opportunity to become successful. How we organize the work of our people and how we engage with them are significant factors determining both their individual success and that of the organization as a whole. So to understand why, we need to reach back. And I mean way back to when we were babies, to explore why we develop a language to begin with. And I'm doing this, I'm talking about this right now in order to provide some context. The field of study we are dipping our toes into is called psycholinguistics. And if you want to learn more, I strongly recommend you read a book called The Development of Language by Dr. Jean Berko Gleason, who is a pioneer in this field. The underpinnings of language development are emotional. It is the desire of the child to make an emotional connection with the parent that motivates them to learn words so they can express themselves more fully, to say, for example, mama or I love you. Babies have other needs too, such as to be warm, to be clean, to be fed, but none of those needs require language to be met. But emotional connection is only possible through communication. If you watch babies, you'll see that they respond emotionally to touch and to the look in a person's face, to the tone of a voice, and finally to the words that are spoken. As a result, they are motivated to learn words in order to broaden and deepen that connection. Research has found that children develop language skills through a verbal interplay with their parents. They do not learn from listening or mimicking. Instead, it is through the verbal interplay they have with others, they develop concepts of structure and understanding. They do not simply learn words. Rather, their focus is to learn how to connect. The words are a means through which they come to connect with those around them. The takeaway from this is that our ability to learn, grow, and connect is a collaborative activity. Just as language is not developed via mimic and memorization, connecting with another is not accomplished by just expressing the same words or mirroring emotions. The interplay is the vital ingredient. The motivation is the need for emotional connection, and the process of collaboration is what creates emotional connection. I think about it through the lens of your own profession, generation, and culture. We developed and use language that is unique to who we are and what we do and how we identify, whether it be the slang of our generation, the acronyms of our profession, or the very words or accents of the language itself that identifies where we are from. The language we use is the vehicle through which we connect and represent who we are. But as we rely more and more on technology, we are communicating in a collaborative way that, that drives like connectivity and engagement. It's the question, right? Does it through technology? Is it a wonder why people are increasingly feeling more disengaged and less connected, even though we live in a world of increased connectivity via technology? Slack messages, emails, social media posts, and text messages don't engage in the one way that drives our real connectivity. A post or a message may trigger emotions, but lacks that immediate and dynamic feedback loop we need to experience intrinsic connection. It's just simply emptying calories. The emotional connectivity is shallow and fleeting or altogether just missing. If we are going to get it right, we have to do it better. This is an important point to consider because now we have a workforce that is increasingly working remote. 74% of employees want to work remotely or hybrid, according to a study by Robert Half. That is a stark difference on how we used to view work prior to the pandemic. However, according to Nicholas Bloom, who is a professor of economics at Stanford University, there is a productivity benefit for hybrid work if it is organized right. If you have everybody come into the office on the same days, it allows employees to maximize their time together, creating connection. When you factor in that with the time saved from them not having to commute, as well as the benefit of working in a quieter and more controlled home environment, the result is a productivity improvement of up to 5%. Humans are social animals. Our fundamental drive is to belong and to stand out. We instinctively want to do things with others, in other words, collaborate, but we're also competitive and we want to win, right? So we like being part of a group, whether it be an activity, a hobby, sports team, gang, those who are criminally minded, religion, a company, and so on. We want to be associated in particular with groups that make us feel validated and valued. If the group fails us, stops being a source of pride, validation, security, and so on, we will run from it. We don't want people running from us. We want them running to us. To harness that power, all you have to do is master the communication framework I'm about to share, as well as the needs that drive our connectivity and association. It's not complex, but the framework and drivers take time to adopt effectively. So what drives connection? What exactly are the intrinsic relationship needs we have? And what are they in the jargon of business? Fundamentally, they are security, validation, and agency. So let's go over each one. Security is our need to feel safe with those around us, within our environment. This is why sexual harassment is such a business killer. If employees don't feel safe, they are less likely to be engaged and excited to work. They are very likely to turn on you, extremely likely to jump ship, and perhaps just as likely to sabotage the success of your organization. On another level, employees need to feel that they can trust you to do the right thing by them. In a customer service setting, the customer needs to feel that you have the power to help them. As a manager, I have always made a point to tell my staff to come to me when things go wrong. I never got angry. I always encouraged them to talk to me so that we can endeavor to fix things, because I'd rather be proactive and correct course before often my customers even realize something went wrong. That trust goes a long way in creating a work environment that fosters openness, trust, and a strong desire to do what is right and to be unafraid of making mistakes along the way. Feeling safe is really important, isn't it? I mean, employees want to know that they can express themselves openly about issues without being afraid of judgment, which leads us to the next need that drives relationships. It's validation. We need to know that who we are, what we want, how we feel, what we experience, and what we express aren't things that others will ridicule or dismiss. We really need to feel valued. We need to feel that what we are doing is important and that our part within the whole is appreciated. We need respect. As Aretha Franklin would agree, even a little bit of respect goes a long way. When we express frustration, hurt, or joy, we want those who we are expressing those feelings with to stop what they are doing, hear us, and be one with us in those moments. This is the one need in which mirroring is actually incredibly important. For some of us, incorporating this need into our communication process is one of the hardest things to do. I speak from experience because when someone comes to me with an issue, my first instinct is to give a solution. That never works. Long ago, I managed a hybrid call center. One of the things I coached my staff was how to slow down and affirm the pain of the caller. We did not offer up a solution until we fully acknowledged the pain that they were feeling. We did this by repeating back what they were saying, mirroring back their emotional state, and clarifying and asking clarifying questions so that we got them to basically let it all out, into the open. It is very much like how we talk with our friends. So if a friend of yours comes to you with an issue and they're telling you about something they're upset, perhaps with another friend or perhaps with their spouse or significant other, our first instinct is, like, figuratively speaking, stand next shoulder to shoulder with them and look at the issue together and both complain about it, right? We match up with what they're doing and what they're saying. We basically tell them, like, I got you, I'm with you, I understand where you're coming from. And it is only at that point when you are able to establish that you can then move to solution. Because until you do that, no matter what the solution you offer, it will never be good enough because they never thought and never felt that you heard them to begin with. It's a huge, huge thing, a huge need that all of us need to learn to do, right? So if you think of security as a foundational need, this one, the need for validation, has roots. And finally, we come to the final need, which I like to discuss often, is that of agency. We all need to feel that we have power over our lives. We need to feel that we have influence over our work, how we work, how we manage our time. The more people feel they have agency, the better they feel about themselves, their relationship with you, and the place and their place, that is, within the organization that they were part of. It could be as simple as asking for their opinion, but giving them agency, allowing employees or those you work with to have say in what's going on around them is really important. A trick, you might say, or a tool that I always used in the customer service arena is when we went to solution after we went through the validation process, is that we just didn't give a solution. We offered a choice. We could either do this, A, or we could do this, B. Which way do you want to go? Giving somebody the power to choose how to move forward is incredibly thrilling for them because it feels they have control over their destiny and the solution to their issue. They don't feel dictated to. So agency is really huge as a need. Now, with that said, the corresponding aspect of all of this is how do you structure it? How do you structure it all so that your company is successful, your business works, right? We start off with building a team. So you're going to hire people. And use football as an analogy. You have clear needs and you hire people based on those needs. But as your team coalesces, your job is to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your team and the players within so that you can organize their work accordingly to maximize their individual potential. You will always have only so many stars. The goal isn't to make everyone stars, but to maximize the potential of every player, of every team member, of every person. Those who do this will typically build championship teams. Isn't just who it is that's in your team, it's how you do it. Being a great coach is important. So, from the moment you hire someone, know that they are at that point the most malleable. Everybody gets hired when you give them a job offer, they're excited about the opportunity. It's like a lifeline, just like I felt when I had my speech impediment, and they hold on to it. And it's at that point that you could really get the most out of those employees. How you start your relationship with them matters most because it'll be the way forward from that point on. Now, at the same time, bringing people on who are ignorant about how to do the jobs, don't worry about that. I sometimes tell people that, I recommend hiring people who have no experience because they don't know their limits. And because of that, their capacity oftentimes is higher than those that come with experience. Setting up boundaries is important so that people understand what the expectations are. I stay away from rules. I like to work by standards. Creating a community that people feel that are part of is really important in your organization. Having purpose, making sure that you have direction, goals, and a mission in place so that employees and the people within your orbit know what's going on is important too. Having opportunity, having flexibility in the work-life balance is really important nowadays, what employees are looking for, variety of work, and being reciprocal. Giving to them, they'll give to you. All of that put together, if you structure your business in those ways, and I know I went through these really quick, if you want me to expand on these a little more, we could always connect to later so I could talk more about those. But if you do those things, you succeed. And I really appreciate all of you being here and listening to me talk, me giving you a little bit of my magic as to how we do things. And I look forward to connecting some more, and I hope you all get to enjoy H2H as it continues through the day. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us in today's forward-thinking session of Human Connection Done Right. As we transition to our next expert speaker, remember that together we are redefining the future. To stay engaged and informed, visit revenue-bydesign.com, where together we will be deliberate, be intentional, and be successful.